Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Broman Clash right here, and this time I want to talk about a movie, Boys in the Hood. I think it was John Singleton that created the movie, or directed it at least. But there was one scene in Boys in the Hood that really caught my interest, and that was the scene where Trey, Ricky, and Furious went to see a billboard. And throughout all the movie, what you noticed? You just saw like black folks killing each other. You saw favoritism. You saw basically parents not really giving a shit about their kids. And what I've noticed in that one particular scene is the fact that it drives the hammer to the nail and basically seals the deal. Why? Because it was talking about self-hatred. And why self-hatred, especially in a movie that talks about black on black crime. Now, if you really look at the scene real closely and how the way it blatantly just stated what was really going on in the black community, especially with the drug epidemic, the crack epidemic, selling crack, others trying to make money so they can survive, while others who are smoking the drug are killing themselves and even selling off their own families. And you see that with one lady. And I'm doing this to discuss and how the way it can connect to today's times, and how the way we grew like a nihilism as a people, especially of African descent. Then let me just start out by talking about this scene. Furious Styles, the father of Trey Styles, asked Trey and Ricky, Doughboy's brother, to come with him and check out a billboard. They both said, no, Furious first asked this, what do you see up there? And they said, billboard, billboard, both Ricky and Trey. And you know what he goes on to say? He says, what are you, Amos and Andy? He's fetches and he's stetches and you're stetches? I'm talking about the message. What is it talking about? And when he mentioned, Amos and Andy, if you know Amos and Andy, they were well-known Uncle Tom characters who would a caricature of black people who were more like, if you know the term Uncle Tom, you know that they would kiss ass, ignore, rather serve people instead of fight, and actually dealing with problems. That's what he was trying to say. And he said, I'm talking about the message. What was it saying? And he said it was talking about gentrification when they raise the prices of rent or other stuff in a certain neighborhood, and then once the neighborhood goes down a bit, and then all the other influx of other people come in, they lower the prices. And then he goes on to talk about how does it apply to us as black people. And then here comes an elder. When he said, it's not about us that's killing each other, it's these folk selling that crack rock, wherever that shit is. He didn't say wherever that shit is, but if you catch my drift, he was basically talking about how the way the youth were to blame. And he's an elder and the youth are just laughing. But Furious point rebuttal against him and say, well, how do you think the drugs and guns come into the community? We don't have significant resource to do that. That's what he said. And here's where the ultimate sense of like, oh yeah, this is what's gonna happen. And then you have this one character, he said, what I'm supposed to do, let a motherfucker smoke me before I smoke him? He said, you know what? And Furious Styles ultimately said this that will seal the deal. And that Boyz N the Hood was not about, street drama and all that crap. It was about self-hatred against your own people, right down to the family matters. But Trey was lucky enough to have a father that taught him right from wrong. And he said, you know why? Now this is what he said. He said, now you gotta ask yourself, why is there a gun store in every black community? And he said the same reason why there's a liquor store in every corner of the black community. You want to know why? Because they want us to kill ourselves. Every time we pop a bottle, we're killing ourselves. Every time we put a bullet in somebody, especially our own people, we're killing ourselves. And when he said all that, that ultimately just told you that, yo, this whole movie, you're looking at it in the wrong perspective. And then let's go on to talk about, Doughboy and Ricky's house, life in the house, especially with their mother. Their mother, want to be honest, man, I despise her as a character. Because when you play favoritism with your children, one of your children, what you do onto one child will reflect on the other. And if you love your children equally, they will understand that. And they will love you back. But there was one thing that I could not stand that she did. And you wanna know what that is? She talked down to Doughboy. She even bothered to understand it. She even bothered to talk to him. She just said, you ain't shit. You just like your daddy. You know what, man? When you disrespect the half that makes the child, you ultimately disrespect the child. And she blatantly did that. And that was the shameful part. And the whole movie was talking about self-hatred. Well, some parts talked about it more than others. And that scene with Doughboy and also that scene with Furious Styles go hand in hand because it talks about self-hatred against a people. And how the way self-hatred can drive people to even kill each other over nothing. And how does this connect to today's times? I mean, look at us. Some of you may say that I'm Uncle Tommy or something like that, or I'm cooning. Well, let me tell you something, man. I'm going to give it down to you. I'm going to keep off. I'm going to give it to you right. See, look, when I look at Boyz N the Hood and I compare it to today's times, when I look at New Jack City and compare it to today's times, you know what I see? I see that, yo, man, we really didn't come a long way because, in fact, we are more reversed than we are going ahead. Now, what I mean is this. If we're still killing each other over nothing, if we're still pumping drugs into our own community, especially when drugs were purposely planted in the community to stop another black uprising. What's a black uprising? Leaders such as Huey P. Newton, other leaders, people who actually cared enough for the community to arm, train, and even let us know what the flavor is. They taught us the truth. They taught us about self-defense. They taught us how to be us. Some of you may say you don't agree. Some of you say I'm a lunatic. But if you really look at it from a perspective that is not of an American point of view, but of an African, Afrocentric survivalist, you will realize that, yo, this is what's really happening. We're killing each other out in the street for nothing. You're killing your own brother because he looked at you funny. Are you kidding me? We are that insecure to the point that we'll kill each other over nothing, and then we're pumping garbage into the little ones' heads. Man, the little ones should not be listening to that trash, especially on the radio. And then now, how does this tie in with, New Jack City and Boyz N the Hood? Man, the way I see it, man, sometimes it's just like what this one person once said. Does art imitate life or does life imitate art? Back then, art imitated life. Now is the reverse. That life is imitating the art. And sad enough, the artists don't even know the reaction they're getting or the moves that they are doing. Yet, they are just doing it because they want to get paid. The new drug, it's not crack cocaine anymore. It's the musicians. And why do I say musicians? Think about it. Because we need our next fix. We need our next Nicki Minaj. We need our next, Lil Wayne. We need our next, wherever you kids listen to. Don't worry, I'm 19 years old. I just like saying whatever you kids listen to because I said jive, and that was, a 1970s term. But man, I ain't gonna lie to you. But if we continue pumping garbage into our community, and if we keep on pretending that, oh yeah, like I'm Jamaican, I'm Bayesian, I have this in my blood, I have that in my blood. Let me tell you something, man. I don't care. Matter of fact, your enemy don't even care if you have any other blood. They don't even care if you have, white blood inside of you. They'll still say, what, you are African. And you know what, man? You should say, yes, I am an African. You got a problem with that? Because as soon as you say, yes, yes, I'm an African, and you say it with such a lowly tone, that's when you become defeated. And the funny thing about that is the fact that people are scared to be who they are, but instead claim a false image that makes them feel less of a man or less of a woman, less of a king, less of a queen, less of a god, less of a goddess, but more of a slave, a commodity. Just like what happened in Boyz N the Hood. If you notice, those people, they didn't even look at each other as people, because people will not kill each other over nothing. And look at New Jack City. You'd rather exploit your own people than help them. And then you put on a facade of a hero. You can't do that. You can't love two masters. You gotta love one and hate the other. Because you're gonna be weird out. You're gonna be worn out. And then how's this tying with my generation? Especially today's time. We're trying to impress people that really don't even care about us. As soon as we care about ourselves, that's when they really pay attention. And truth be told, we're playing right into their hands. We're killing each other over nothing. We're letting babies suffering. We're letting future generation of fathers getting killed because they want to prove their worth to somebody who's worthless, who has no self-worth. And then the template was set long before we were even born. And some of us think that, oh yeah, movies, man, art, music, they're just that. You know what, man? If you really focus on it, it's a lot more than what it is. Just like Transformers once said, more than meets the eye. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in the skies. No, I'm serious. That's what it is. Everything is more than meets the eye. Sometimes you may make a connection and it will just be like, damn, that's a heavy ass connection. Just like what I did with New Jack City and with Boyz N the Hood. And with that, I hope y'all have a great night. As daylight savings time, and you sleepyheads that want to have an extra hour sleep, you got it. This is Bro Man saying sign out. Out one, out one. See you later.